transition to Saquon Barkley. Arguably, to me at least, the most talented running back in all football. I put him in the category with Derrick Henry, Dalvin Cook, Christian McCaffrey. He's in that same tier. He's excellent. But the problem is there's been some injuries, Chris. 2019, he missed 3 games due to injury. Wasn't 100% when he played in some of those games. Probably rushed back a little bit too fast, in my opinion. And last year, he missed 14 games due to injury. And my worry about Saquon is this, can he stay healthy for one? And also, if he performs very well, you're going to have to pay that guy a crap ton of money because when he's on the field, I think he's worth that money. But we've seen running backs in the past not be the solo key to winning Super Bowls. I think that quarterback's more important. I think offensive line is more important. Your wide receiver core today is more important. Your defensive line, your secondary. Heck, I even paid for a stud middle linebacker over a really good, running back because you can move them around. A lot of good quarterbacks, a lot of speed, guys moving around. So I think that running back is very low on the totem pole of what you need to win a Super Bowl. Obviously, you need to be a balanced team, but you look at the Patriots. I mean, they just plug in a running back after a running back, They don't have an Adrian Peterson. They don't have a Derrick Henry. They won multiple Super Bowls. And in the last 10 years, the only elite running back that has won a Super Bowl is Marshawn Lynch. So I actually threw out the idea that the Giants should at least consider trading Saquon Barkley because I understand he's great, he's excellent, but if the injuries are there and you're not willing to pay him all that money and you can get running back by committee, I think it's not a bad idea, But I will say, I think there is some value to having a Derrick Henry, having a Christian McCaffrey, if you feel they're going to be the focal point to your offense. We know Saquon Barkley, for the most part, hopefully next year is going to be the focal point of the offense. I think that Daniel Jones, we recognize, okay, he's got some talent, but he needs a good roster around him. He's not one of those guys that's going to be able to make up for average running backs, average offensive lines. He needs a good team around him. I think that he could really benefit from handing the ball off to Saquon 20 times, throwing screen passes to him. He'll be a safety net. I think the offense would be better to be run through Saquon Barkley first and foremost. So it's a very tough evaluation for me. I'd at least be on the phones trying to say, hey, do you want Saquon? Because there's a sucker born every day, Chris. Someone is going to want to get Saquon Barkley with his talent. So am I crazy to think the Giants should at least consider maybe getting on the phone and trading Barkley if the injuries continue to pile up and whatnot?
Well, a lot of Giants fans agree with you on that. I go live all the time. A lot of them think they should. Here's my take on Saquon Barkley. And maybe, you know what, if you get blown away by an offer, you always listen. And I agree with a lot of what you had to say. I don't think he's a typical running back, which I think you were kind of getting to. Obviously putting him in the top tier class with guys like McCaffrey.
I think he's an interchangeable running back. I think there's about 6 guys in the NFL that they're just different. He's one of those guys.
They're different. He's not one of those. Yeah, he's one of those guys. And so I do think you could run the offense through him. Similar to what Gurley was for the Rams before he went down. Running backs like that. So I do think he's more valuable than a typical running back and maybe as valuable as most receivers when he's 100%. And the thing that really upsets me about Barkley is he's never really been given that opportunity. We have not been able to get him an offensive line, which was a mistake to draft him in the first place because we didn't have an offensive line to support him from the start. But he's here. And next year, like Jones, I want to get to actually see him with what I think will be an improved offensive line, what I think will be an improved quarterback in the second year of a scheme, if we could go out there and get him some wide receivers. Because I do think Saquon Barkley could be dynamite with the right pieces around him, if you support him with a real roster. And in terms of trading him, I would not trade him this year because I look at it like the stock market. You're trading him when he's worth 30% of what you bought him for. If he stays healthy and has a great year, that's when I come to a crossroads and I have to decide, am I going to extend the running back and give him a 4-year extension, or am I then going to trade him? And I think that is where the Giants will come to a crossroads. If I was going to trade him, I would wait until the conclusion of the 2021 season, and then I would do it if I was going to trade him, because I think I'd get more than if he stayed healthy than if I trade him before the season this year. Coming off an ACL tear, nobody knows what they're getting. So I still want to see a year out of Barkley, and then I would be able to tell you what I would do. I'm hoping he's in the long-term plans. I love Saquon Barkley. He's my favorite player on the team. Great leader, great guy. And I think a lot of Giants fans love him. And they want him to be the guy. But you need results. And health is important when it comes to the NFL. And so far, the high ankle sprain I thought was a bit of a fluke. He did come back, like you said, after 3 weeks, but he probably should have sat another week or two. Definitely rushed it back. Last year, obviously, an ACL injury. I look at other guys. They've come back. Peterson's one of them. And hopefully Barkley's one of those guys. He's a physical freak. Put up or shut up year for him as well. I mean, to me, it's Jones, Barkley, Gettleman. And if Gettleman goes, they both go. Those are his babies, like you said. And if they bring in a new GM, we're starting all over again. So a lot of pressure on all three of those guys.
How many running backs are better than Saquon Barkley today? What running backs would you take over him?
If Barkley's 100%?
Yeah, I think that Derrick Henry's the best right now because of what he's done in the postseason, because you can give him the ball 30 times a game. He's not going to get tired, not going to really wear out. He's not the best receiving threat, but I think just based on what you've done for me lately, based on production, and based on a running back that can run between the tackles, that can give me those extra yards if needed, and on the goal line, 1 yard to go, I'm giving the ball to Derrick Henry all day, every day. So I don't really care about his limitations. He's a 10 as far as running between the tackles. I'm okay if he's a 5 or a 6 as far as receiving goes. I think that Barkley and some of the other running backs are more well-rounded than a guy like Derrick Henry, but I think he's the guy. You know, he just rushed for 2,000 yards. I think that he's definitely the number one guy right now. Barkley's a little more talented as far as sheer ability, but yeah, I think that's Derrick Henry and really everyone else right now. What do you think?
It's hard for me to say you're wrong. I mean, I want to say Barkley's the most talented. And I think it's probably between him and McCaffrey in terms of being the most talented, but it's hard for me to say you're wrong. I mean, the guy's coming up with 2,000 a year. He's proven he could take the bulk of a big workload. 2 years in a row now. He's great between the tackles. A lot of people express that they want to see more of that from Barkley, or we need to bring in a running back that is similar to a guy like Derrick Henry to complement Saquon Barkley.
It's really not Barkley's game. You know, he's more of your East and West guy, not necessarily North and South. But how many running backs would you take over Barkley?
I'd have to take Henry. McCaffrey's close because McCaffrey's coming off the injury as well, but I'd probably take McCaffrey. He's had more success in the NFL up to this point. After that, if Barkley's 100%, I think I got Barkley next.
Okay. Dalvin Cook's obviously up there too, you know. But
he's up there. Yeah, that's. I wouldn't debate you if you said he was better. That's fair. Yeah. But Barkley to me is definitely still in the top 5.
Oh yeah, no doubt about it. Definitely. And he's better than Zeke. Cowboys fans, you know, kind of get triggered about that.
Zeke's falling off. Zeke's a great running back. Don't get me wrong. Zeke, I respect Zeke. Great blocker. Great short yardage running back. Puts his head down, gets those tough yards. He always falls forward. Never loses yards. But at this point in Zeke's career, if Barkley's 100%, he's better than Zeke.
Yeah. And looking back on that draft where Saquon was drafted, you know, do you regret that pick? Because honestly, if I was a Giants fan, obviously I'm not, but I would say I love Saquon. He's a team guy. He's great when he's on the field, but you passed on guys like Quentin Nelson. You passed on Bradley Chubb. And we mentioned earlier, you know, you can get a guy like Nick Chubb in the second round. Heck, we talked about Derrick Henry. He was a second-round pick, Chris. I think Gettleman just overreached for Barkley. I don't know why.
Yeah. Listen, he's a Giant. I'm happy he's here. I support him. I love Saquon Barkley. If I'm being completely honest, on draft night, I wasn't on YouTube yet. I wanted the Giants to trade down. I wasn't in love with any of the quarterback prospects there. I think the Giants were in a lose situation. If they would have stood at 2, they were going to lose no matter what. Like, if you took Nelson, fans would have complained because the team wouldn't have been good yet. And fans would have said you took a guard at 2. When do guards go second overall? If they took Chubb, it's not like Chubb would have been this franchise-transcending player at number 2 that would have made the Giants this 10-11-win team at this point in time. So I think no matter what they did at 2, unless they took Josh Allen, but even Josh Allen, he would have needed time to develop. Darnold wouldn't have worked, obviously. We saw what happened with the Jets. Rosen wouldn't have worked. Lamar Jackson was never going to come here. We were never drafting him. So I think if we stayed at 2, we were in a loose situation no matter what. If I'm being completely honest with you, I think that the move there was to trade down. I don't blame them for taking Barkley at 2. Most people had him as the best player in that draft, even though he was a running back, but they should have traded down. If there was an ability to trade down to 5, and then you take a guy like Nelson there, because Barkley probably would have went to the Browns at 4 if I had to guess, that would have been the move. They should have traded down.
Yeah, and obviously I'm a big Saquon Barkley fan. I'm just kind of, you know, being the critic I have to be, you know, but I definitely hope that Barkley, you know, bounces back this year. I hope that he has a very good, healthy season. And if he's healthy, man, your Giants can do some great things, man. Thank you so much for watching this video today. Please also note that the Juice Alert Sports Podcast is not just a YouTube channel. It is available on all podcasting platforms, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts. Also, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share this content with all your friends. This podcast is my favorite thing in the entire world right now. It is my passion. And I want more people to listen to this podcast. I really want this podcast to grow. Also, a fun fact about me is that I want to go into the sports broadcasting and media world once I graduate from the University of Toledo, a college in Northern Ohio. I am looking to become one of the next great sports broadcasters and analysts out in the world. And I potentially would like to start my own network if this podcast really truly grows. Or if I fall short of that goal, I would love to work for a big time network like ESPN or Fox Sports 1. I am open to all networks. So if you believe in my dreams and you see or hear my passion through the screen, be sure to tell all your friends about the Juiciest Sports Podcast. Stay motivated, you guys. Have a God bless day, and I'm out.